Warm greetings to one and all. I'm Mrs. Catalina Tobio, your researcher for today, presenting my research paper entitled Improving the Reading Level of Grade 7 Students of San Isidro National High School through Oplan, Tutok, Basa, with paper ID number 44. Let me start with the background of the study. Filipino learners deserve quality education and access to all learning programs that may cost their desired development. The Department of Education Region 4A Calabarzon, through the Curriculum and Learning Management Division, issued the Regional Guidelines on Comprehensive Reading Policies. The policy aimed at intensifying the region's program for reading development. With this, schools are directed to intensify school reading programs to resolve reading difficulties among students. The primary concern and significance of this study is to develop among students independent readers. This study was concerned in improving the reading level of since grade 7 students through Oplan, Tutok, Basa. Specifically, this study was aimed to answer the following questions. Number 1. What is the reading level of grade 7 students of since before and after the implementation of Oplan, Tutok, Basa? Number 2, is there any significant difference in the reading level of grade 7 students before and after the implementation of Oplan, Tutok, Basa? And number 3, what is the implication of the findings of this action research for the improvement of since grade 7 reading level? To go further, let me discuss the methodology that I used in my study. The 54 respondents of this study were drawn from the grade 7 students of since. In obtaining data, the researcher used the descriptive survey through test analysis given before and after they undergo with this project, which contains the pre-test and the post-test given by the reading teacher. The researcher used mean analysis to determine the improvement of reading level of grade 7 students before and after they took the program. The data gathered was analyzed and interpreted using the following statistical methods. The mean and standard deviation were utilized using this formula. M is equals to the summation of FD over N, where the summation of FD is the summation of student score divided by N, which is the number of cases or the total number of population who got the pre-test and post-test. For standard deviation, the formula is SD is equals to the square root of the summation of FD minus FD squared over N to determine the acceptability of the data gathered in terms of accuracy, clarity, and validity of the results of finding out the reading level of the grade 7 students. The researcher also used weighted average mean following this formula. 1 is equals to for f plus 3f plus 2f plus 1f over n, where 1 is weighted average mean, f is the frequency distribution, and n is equals to the number of respondents. Weighted mean scale of 3.25 to 4 has scale of IR, which is described as independent readers. 2.5 to 3.24 has scale of INS, which described as instructional readers. 1.75 to 2.49 has scale of FR, which is described as prostration readers, and a weighted mean of 1.00 to 1.74 has a scale of NR with description of non-readers. Before we came up with the findings and discussion, let us think for a moment and have a minute of reflection on the research attitude and values. Let me share with you the research ethics I use in my paper. The first one is fair subject selection. This research doesn't intend to harm anybody. Only grade 7 students were subject for reading tests due to reading adjustment from elementary to secondary education. Still, the results deem not to blame elementary reading teachers, but the result were merely serving as the basis for the school continuous improvement planning. Informed consent. Letter of consent was made to reading coordinator requesting for the result of reading inventory tests of grade 7 students, as well as the post-test for the purpose of this research. Parental consent was also given for those respondents to allow to go to school to attend the reading test in time of pandemic. Respect for privacy, confidentiality, and anonymity. The result of the study is private and confidential. Names of respondents as independent readers, instructional readers, prostration readers, and non-readers were anonymous. This research cared for the dignity of all persons involved in the study. Social and clinical value is still observing social distancing and health safety protocols while doing an intensive reading engagement as part of Oplan Tutok Basa, or the school operation to look out for grade 7 reading improvement. Validity is statistical treatment, and its analysis was checked by the school mathematics teacher. Validation of the result was done through monitoring and evaluation of the school head. This originated from the school and not copied from anybody. With this research ethics, the researcher is transparent, ethical, and accountable of the result of this study, as I'm giving you the findings and discussion. Table 1 showed that the mean score of the grade 7 students who were tested in the pretest of reading comprehension falls below the expected score, ranging from 25 to 50. There were 40 students and only 14 students respectively of the 54 total population belong above the mean score, as shown by the standard deviation, which scored 1.0. Most of the students were interpreted having very close score failed in the reading comprehension test administered during the p-test. As shown by the graph, there were only 7 students who were independent readers, 7 instructional readers, 20 students who were prostration readers, and also 20 students who were classified as non-readers. Look at Table 2 that showed the mean score of the grade 7 students who were tested in the post-test of reading comprehension. It falls above the expected score, ranging from 25 to 50, which was 53 students of the 44 total population, as shown by the standard deviation, which scored 3.03. Almost all the total population were interpreted having very close score passed in the reading comprehension test administered during the post-test. As shown by the graph, there were 48 students who were independent readers, 5 students who were classified as instructional readers, only 1 student as prostration reader, and 0 student classified as non-reader. Let's move on with Table 3, showing the intensive reading engagement of grade 7 students. of scenes through Oplan Tutok Basa from week 1 to 5. Learners were given reading material to read weekly and 10 questions to test learners' ability in reading comprehension, word recognition, and vocabulary development. After the implementation of Oplan Tutok Basa, the results show that out of 54 grade 7 students, there were 48 independent readers, or 88.88% of the total population. They were those students who can determine meanings through context clues and other words part. They can successfully recognize words and interpret their meanings. 9.25% or 5 students were classified as instructional readers. They were those students who can recognize words, can interpret the meaning of what they read, but they can hardly grasp or understand what they read from the reading materials. 1.85% or only one student who was frustration readers. They can recognize words but void in meaning and nothing less but mere uttering words. Lastly, 0% of the total population cannot able to recognize words, stuttered, stammered, and tend to repeat and repeat in reading for words. This reader cannot understand the words they read, and they could not see its relation to other word parts. In general, grade 7 students were independent readers. They only needed to develop their vocabulary skill in order to further understand the reading context. But as a whole, they can recognize words rightly. The intensive reading engagement of grade 7 students through Oplan Tutok Basa or the school operation to look out for the learner's improvement in reading succeed, as shown by the result of the study. Reflected number of few non-readers indicate the students' lack of vocabulary skill to succeed in answering the comprehension question. There is indeed significant difference between the reading level of grade 7 student of San Isidro National High School before and after the implementation of Oplan Tutok Basa. From the findings of the research, it is concluded that since administration and staff must enhance the reading program to fully attain its purpose of having optimum pre-reading environment. Based from the findings, it is imperative to integrate the reading program in all learning areas, since all homeroom teachers are reading teachers. To fully realize its objectives, reading program must be given not only in 5 weeks, but continuously giving the students an opportunity for reading activity to sustain the demand of creating independent readers among all students. Since most of the students nowadays are digital citizens or natives, it is also imperative to develop another reading program that will suit student interest and agenda, such as comprehension program through electronic class. To end with my video presentation, the researcher wants to express her deepest gratitude to the proponents of this endeavor, to the International Multidisciplinary Research Conference Global Leaders and Educators Award, organized by Bayan Books Publication, for this great experience and new learning. To the school reading coordinator, Mrs. Irene B. Aranilla, to my son Nico P. Tobio as my videographer, and most especially to God, who has given me courage and wisdom to pursue this task. To all of you, thank you so much.